The house on Blackwood Hill. Maggie stepped off the bus and looked up at the house on Blackwood Hill. It was taller than she remembered, darker too. The windows, once bright and welcoming, now seemed empty, like eyes that had stopped watching. She hadn't been here in 15 years, but nothing had changed, except the way it made her feel. She pulled her coat tight around her. The wind was strong up here, pushing her forward, whispering in her ears. She had promised herself she would never come back. But here she was, because of her brother. David was missing. The last message he had sent her was strange. Come home. You need to see it. That was all. Nothing more. She had called him, texted him. No answer. Their childhood home had always felt haunted. Not with ghosts, not in the way of movies and books, but with something heavier. Their father had died here suddenly alone. Their mother had spent years after that talking about the house's whispers before she too disappeared into the night. No one knew where she had gone. Now, Maggie was the last one left, if David was truly gone. She climbed the steps, her boots echoing against the old wood. The front door was unlocked. Of course it was. It had always been. Inside, the air was thick, stale. The house smelled like dust and something else, something she couldn't name. The furniture was covered in white sheets, like bodies waiting to be uncovered. She stepped forward. The floor groaned under her weight. And then, a sound. From upstairs, a slow, dragging sound, like something heavy being pulled across the wooden floor. Maggie froze. David, or something else. Her breath caught in her throat. She should turn around, step outside, call the police. But something in her chest, something old and unspoken, pushed her forward. She had to know. She had to see. With careful steps, she climbed the stairs, each one creaking beneath her weight. The hallway at the top was dark, only a small sliver of light coming from David's old room. Maggie reached out, her fingers cold as they touched the door handle. She pushed. The door swung open, and what she saw inside made her stomach turn. Maggie's breath stopped. David's room looked almost the same as when they were kids. The small wooden desk in the corner, the old bookshelf, the twin bed covered in the same navy sheets. But something was wrong. The air was heavy, thick like fog. And on the floor, right in the middle of the room, was a trail of dark, smeared footprints. Bare feet, leading from the window to the closet. Maggie's stomach twisted. She turned her head slowly, looking at the window. It was locked. No sign of anyone coming in or out. But the footprints fresh. The wood was damp where they had stepped. Her fingers shook as she reached for her phone. She needed to call someone, anyone. But before she could, a soft creak came from inside the closet. Maggie's body went cold. The closet door was closed, but she could see the edge of a shadow underneath. Someone was inside. She stepped back, her heartbeat pounding in her ears. She should run. She should turn and leave. But then she saw something else on David's desk. A single folded piece of paper. Her name was written on it in David's handwriting. With a deep breath, she forced herself forward, grabbed the note, and opened it. The words inside made her knees weak. Maggie, if you're reading this, it means I didn't make it. Do not open the closet. Do not trust the whispers. And whatever happens, do not sleep in this house. A slow creak. The closet door moved just an inch. Maggie's body locked in place. The room felt smaller now, pressing in around her. Then a whisper. Not from the closet. From behind her. Right at her ear. Too late. Maggie spun around, heart slamming against her ribs. The room was empty. No one was there. But the whisper still lingered in her mind, like a voice sinking into her skin. Too late. Her hands gripped the note tighter. David had known something was wrong. He had left this message for her, a warning. Do not open the closet. But the door had already moved. Another creak. Slow. Deliberate. Maggie's breath came in short gasps as the closet door inched open, just enough to see the darkness inside. No shape, no figure. Just shadows stretching toward her like fingers. She staggered back, her foot hitting something hard. The floorboard under her gave a hollow thud. A hidden space. Her fingers trembled as she crouched, feeling along the wood. The board was loose. She dug her nails underneath and pried it up. Inside the gap, there was something wrapped in an old cloth. Shaking, she pulled it out. A tape recorder. Maggie's fingers hovered over the play button. She shouldn't. Every nerve in her body told her to leave, to run. But David had hidden this for a reason. She pressed play. A crackle. Then David's voice. If you found this, you need to listen carefully. I tried to fix it. I really did. But the house is awake now. It knows when we're here. It knows when we're listening. If you've heard the whisper, it's already watching you. You have to. The recording cut off. Silence. Maggie's throat was dry. Behind her, the closet door creaked open another inch. And then footsteps. Not from inside the closet. From the hallway. Someone was walking toward David's room. And they weren't alone. Maggie froze. The footsteps in the hallway were slow. Careful. Not hurried, not hesitant, just deliberate. She swallowed hard, her fingers tightening around the recorder. Too late. The whisper from before echoed in her mind, creeping under her skin. The air in the room felt heavier now, pressing against her like unseen hands. Her body begged her to run, but her legs refused. Another step, then another. Maggie forced herself to turn toward the doorway. The hall was dim, just a thin sliver of moonlight spilling from the broken window at the end. And then she saw it. A shadow, tall, unmoving, standing just beyond the doorframe. It didn't breathe. It didn't shift. It just waited. The tape recorder in Maggie's hand crackled again. A burst of static, and then David's voice. Maggie, if you hear this, don't look at it. Don't move. It's listening. It knows you're here. A cold shiver ran down her spine. It. Not he. Not she. It. Maggie clenched her jaw to keep from making a sound. But the shadow in the hallway didn't stay still anymore. It took a step forward. The old floorboards groaned. Maggie's pulse pounded in her ears. The open closet behind her seemed to breathe, its darkness pulling at her like an open mouth. She had to choose. Run past the thing in the hall, or step into the closet. Her fingers twitched. The recorder crackled one last time. And then David's voice, barely a whisper. "Maggie, I'm sorry." The lights flickered. The shadow lunged. And Maggie made her choice. Maggie didn't think. She just moved. She spun and dove into the closet, yanking the door shut behind her. Darkness swallowed her whole. Her breath came fast and shallow. The air was thick, dust coating her tongue. Outside, the floor creaked. The thing was still there. It wasn't leaving. Maggie pressed her back against the wooden wall, trying to stay still, trying to think. The tape recorder was still in her hand, warm from her grip. Then a knock. 1, 2, 3. Slow, rhythmic, like it was counting. Her body went rigid. The closet was small, too small. The walls seemed to press in. The tape recorder clicked. A burst of static, then David's voice again. "If you're in the closet, don't turn around." Maggie's stomach dropped. She felt it before she heard it. Breath. Right behind her. Not warm. Not human. Just hollow. The knock on the closet door stopped. The air inside shifted. Maggie's fingers trembled over the recorder. The voice whispered again, "Don't turn around." But she could feel it. Close. Waiting. A sharp click. The doorknob twisted, and the closet door began to open. The closet door inched open. A sliver of light cut through the darkness, stretching across Maggie's shaking hands. She didn't move, couldn't move. Her breath was trapped in her chest. The air behind her still felt wrong, thick, heavy, as if something else was breathing with her. And then a whisper, not from the recorder this time, from inside the closet. "You shouldn't be here." Maggie lunged forward, shoving the door wide open. She tumbled out onto the floor, gasping for breath. The room was empty. No one stood outside the closet. No one was inside either. But the air felt charged, humming with something unseen, something watching. The tape recorder clicked again. "Maggie," David's voice crackled through. "It's not done with you yet." She scrambled to her feet, gripping the recorder tight. The bedroom door loomed in front of her, half open. A new sound drifted through the hallway. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Coming closer. Maggie backed away. The room felt smaller, the walls pressing in. What now? She looked down at the recorder. Maybe it had the answer. Her fingers fumbled to rewind. The footsteps stopped. Right outside the door. She hit play. Static. A sharp screech. Then David's voice. "Run." The bedroom light flickered, and the door slammed shut. The door slammed shut, shaking the walls. Maggie's pulse pounded in her ears. The room was too quiet now. No more footsteps. No whispers. Only her own ragged breathing. She gripped the tape recorder, her fingers trembling. David's last word echoed in her head. "Run." Run where? The door was locked. The windows were too high. Trapped. She pressed play again. A deep, static-filled silence. Then a new voice. Not David's. Not hers. "We see you." Maggie's stomach dropped. The voice was layered, like a chorus of whispers speaking at once. The air turned icy, the temperature plummeting. Her breath came out in small, white clouds. Then the bed moved. Not a little. It dragged, inch by inch, across the wooden floor. Maggie stumbled back, pressing herself against the wall. The bed screeched forward, as if something unseen was pushing it. Her eyes darted to the recorder. She rewound. Press play. Silence. Then David's voice. "Maggie, it wants you to listen." Her hands went numb. She rewound further. Press play. David again. "It won't let you leave." "Not yet." The air grew heavier, pressing down on her chest. A slow creak filled the room. The closet door opened again. This time she saw it. A shape. Tall. Wrong. Waiting. The tape clicked, and the voice whispered again, right behind her ear. "Listen." Maggie froze. The voice was too close. She could feel its breath, cold, damp, not human. Her fingers tightened around the tape recorder. She didn't turn around. She couldn't. The closet door stood wide open now. The shape inside was shifting, stretching, like it was made of shadows and smoke. The voice spoke again, softer this time. "We've been waiting." The bed jerked closer to her. The air thickened, pressing on her skin, making it hard to breathe. She hit rewind on the tape, then play. A voice, David's voice. "Maggie, listen carefully. It needs you to hear. That's how it gets in." She pressed stop. Her mind raced. "Gets in?" The whisper came again. "Listen." Her heartbeat slammed against her ribs. She thought of David, his warnings, his fear. She thought of the others, the missing ones. She had to get out. Now. Maggie bolted for the door. She grabbed the handle and twisted hard. It opened. The hallway was dark, but she ran anyway. Down the stairs, through the dust-filled air. Past the empty rooms. Past the things waiting in the shadows. She didn't stop. Not even when she heard them calling her name. Not even when she heard them laughing. Maggie ran until she saw the front door, open, waiting. She burst outside, into the cold night air. She never looked back. A week later, Maggie sat in her tiny apartment, staring at the tape recorder on her desk. She had brought it with her. She didn't know why. Maybe because it felt unfinished. Her fingers hovered over the play button. She shouldn't. She knew that. But the whisper still echoed in her head. "Listen." She pressed play. Click. The recording started. And she realized she wasn't alone.